Eagles up against the French Barbars. It's a Friday game, I believe, folks, over in the States. This is a preparation match for two very important matches for the Eagles coming up against Chile very, very soon. But yeah, we'll go through the two lineups for these sides. Don't really have any stats to compare these sides on because it is a Barbarian side, so we can expect hopefully a pretty entertaining game because the Barbars, whether they be the Barbars who wear black and white or the French Barbars, they generally like to chuck the ball around a lot. I should say this game's going to be on Flow Rugby. All of the July games are on Flow Rugby as far as I'm aware. New Zealand All Blacks up against the Irish, the Wallabies up against the English, the South Africans up against the Welsh, Japan up against the French. So, yeah, Flow Rugby mucked up the Māori All Blacks game the other day, but I've sent through some feedback to them, and hopefully they get everything sorted. Plus, the Chile games are going to be on Flow Rugby as well. So, I'm an affiliate of Flow Rugby. I'll put their link down in the description. Hopefully they get their act together, and we can enjoy this glorious month of rugby because there is a lot of international games on. Like I said, it's pretty important that the Eagles get this bit of game time together. Like, they don't get that much preparation time. It's one of the unfortunate parts about some of the Tier 2 teams is they don't get maybe as much prep time as we would like to see. Hopefully Gary Gold has been watching a bit of MLR. He's picked a squad which is largely based upon guys in the MLR. He's not really shaking things up a heck of a lot. It's kind of pretty familiar faces, I think, for the most part. But certainly there's been a few standout guys in the MLR, and they're bolstered by some of the guys who've returned from abroad. So Ainu'u, Pifeleti, and Mullen are the front row. So that's Ainu'u, who's been playing in France. Pifeleti's been playing for Saris. And then Mullen, who's playing as trade in the MLR, but vastly experienced. So scrum time against the Chileans, as far as I'm aware, I haven't seen them that much, but scrum time is going to be one area the Americans need to get it right. So good practice for them up against a relatively experienced French Barbars front row as well. We'll get to them in a minute. Civetta and Peterson is a familiar locking duo. Civetta won the MLR with Rugby New York. I think he had a pretty good campaign. Peterson's been getting regular game time for Newcastle as well. They've not had a great season in the Premiership, but Greg Peterson has been a very familiar face for them, which is not something we can say for all the American guys who are based abroad. Haas, Tonga'uiha, and Dolan. The back row, Tonga'uiha, we do like his big ball carrying. Dolan, line out time. He is that extra operator. He's going to help run the show. And then Haas, he is one of my favourite players, genuinely. I would not be surprised if he gets picked up by an overseas team at some point. I know loose forwards are kind of, I don't want to say dime a dozen, but there's a lot of loose forwards playing their trade around the world, so it's not an area that a lot of teams necessarily want to recruit from abroad, but he genuinely looks like a special talent at MLR level anyway, and we've seen him play for the Eagles and put in some good shifts. He gets over the advantage line where maybe he shouldn't be able to. He can pilfer. He's just an overall very good operator. So that's the forward pack. To Haas is in at 9. Now, speaking of guys who are overseas and not getting that much game time, he's in that camp. Didn't get much game time at all with Saracens. He played a couple of starts. And I think like the Premiership Cup, so their third tier games, and he was getting kind of token minutes, 20 minutes here, 15 minutes there, maybe half an hour if he was lucky. So yeah, he might be a little bit rusty. MacGinty's had a little bit of in and out with injury this year, unfortunately, but hopefully he's 100% fit. That's their 9-10 combo. Campbell and Lopeti have both been in pretty good form for the MLR teams. That's kind of encouraging. Both very much good attacking threats. Defensively will be a good test for them. Mitch Wilson, Christian Dyer on the wings, and then Marcel Brache there at fullback. So yeah, I think overall you'd be pretty happy with the starting lineup. Obviously there's no Al Jabori, there's no Hooley, both those guys are out injured. Bench-wise, they've got Taufete'e and Wenglewski there as well. Wenglewski's going to be through a bunch of tackles in the playoffs. They've got Bonasso, who likewise has been a bit of a tackling machine in the MLR, so that's pleasing. Osberger, kind of the regular backup at the moment. Lasike can hopefully add a bit of punch if he comes off the bench, and then Luke Carty there as well. So, yeah. It's a good mix, I think, of guys who've been playing well in the MLR and some of the guys back from abroad. I really do genuinely hope that Gary Gold has been watching the MLR intently, because I've been watching it this season, and I'm pleased to see some guys who have been in form get a crack. So yeah, we'll see. For the French Barbarians, it's a pretty experienced side in a lot of areas. I believe it's pretty hot in Houston, so there may be a few tired legs come the end of the game for some of these guys who are on the wrong side of 30. But Poirot is a French international, so he's going to give them a bit of trouble at loose head. Mayandia, I can't do the French pronunciation of his name, the hooker, he's like in his 30s, so he's very senior. And then Corato is a early 20s prop, so a bit of a mix of youth and experience. Sazi and Maxime are the locks. Sazi obviously has been around the block, so he will be doing his best to disrupt the ball that the American guys are getting. Abidir, you can tell by the fact that I don't know his name. I don't know much about him. Roma is a pretty young man at 25, and then Pickamoles played in the Rugby World Cup 2011 final against New Zealand. So experienced is one way of putting it. The guy was world class back in his day. He's still playing in the top 14, so yeah, doesn't get much more experience than that. Backs wise, you got Bergeron, who is one of the youngsters. They got a lot of halfbacks in France, so he's another one of them. And then an experienced guy in Trinh-Duc, who also played in the 2011 Rugby World Cup final loss against the All Blacks. Missed a key penalty in that game. Kind of kept my blood pressure down a wee bit, because it was a pretty tense game from an All Blacks point of view. But yeah, good to see him having a crack with some of the senior boys. Aguilon and Dubier, again, pretty experienced. Both those guys wrong side of 30. So we'll see them do some running and see if they can last 80 minutes, or maybe they'll get subbed a bit early. And then Lepeg is on one wing with Acibes on the other wing, and then Duquois at fullback. Yeah, folks, I don't watch enough top 14 to give a lot of insights into this team. Other than that, a lot of the guys are pretty experienced. Some of the guys are former French internationals. And then there's a couple of the guys who are kind of, some of the youngsters who maybe haven't made the French side who are getting a crack. You've got one of the Taufete'e brothers on the bench. You've got Flosans, who's been in good form in the top 14. Adam Jones is the ref. Good prep time for the USA boys. I don't know if you'll be able to get any stats out of this game. It's a good run out. I can't imagine this French team do anything else but really have a good chuck around. So I think in terms of entertainment value, you should hopefully get good bang for your buck. And as I said, good prep for the USA boys, because they need any game time they can get ahead of the important Rugby World Cup qualifiers. But anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts. Like I said, game's on flow. Down in the description, if you want to play Super Brew, which is a predictions game for the July Internationals, I'll put a link down in the description to that as well. You essentially just pick which team you think is going to win and by how much, and at the end, we find out who knows rugby the best. But anyway, you guys take care. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.